Hey guys, we are back for Power. Um, the spinoff, y'all. I'm trying to think of the actual name is Power, the Power book or something. Ghost, and it's weird that it's named Ghost because Ghost ain't up in this, and everybody talking about Ghost ain't dead. Y'all just let it go. Amari Hardick, I think he just moved on, and we just got who we got now. But okay, I was, entertained by this, but it just seemed like it was a lot going on. Before I get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I know y'all be watching these reviews and not subscribing, but go ahead and share the love. It's absolutely free. But okay, let's see. All right, so the episode starts off. Real quick, I'm happy they kept the theme music, Big Rich Town by Joe, but I thought they was gonna change. They did change the graphics and stuff or whatever, because I was curious were they gonna stay with that theme song, because every show can't have that theme song. Tommy probably gonna have something that sounds more like West Coast or something. I feel like, since he's moving over to the West Coast for his spinoff. And congratulations to Joseph Sikora for that, getting that picked up by Stars. You know, Chi-Town Stand Up. He's Chi-Town native. That's bomb. But anyway, yeah, so I like that they kept the vibe and everything of the theme song. So it starts off, okay, Tasha's in jail and she is going for her arraignment, and the guard, this big chick or whatever, she walking her to her arraignment or whatnot, and she like, you don't look like, you was abused and battered to me. She's like, look at those nails. You wasn't no abused women. I see those all the time. That ain't you or whatnot. She was like, what are you talking about? Tasha always lying and shit. That's all she do. She just lie, just like she breathed. So from there, it was, they were trying to get Tasha out on bail. That was the plan, to get Tasha out on bail. And Tamika is her lawyer from, obviously, a lot of characters carried over into this. Mostly, all of them. Everybody who was left, put it like that, alive, besides Tommy and Ghost and whatnot. But yeah, so she was denied, what's her name? She was denied bail. They're going to keep her. And then right after that, she went to meet with the prosecutor to see about a plea deal. Because and then right before that, we see Tariq and Big Mama and whatnot. And they were talking to the lawyer, Tamika, the lawyer. And then she was like, she has to agree to that she is guilty, that she did shoot James, but her defense is that she's a bruised and a battered woman, and that's the only way she can get the deal. So when she meets with the prosecutor, they like, okay, if you get this deal, she was trying to get her to take at least, I think, like 5 years, and they were like, no. Tamika was like, no, we know that the DNC does not want James St. Patrick's little other shady dealings to come out, especially because they were backing him. So unless you want to get entangled in all that, you need to offer us a better deal and just go ahead and let Tasha go or whatnot. So that's what Tamika said. I was like, okay, Tamika, get your lawyer on. So that's what they was trying to fight for with for Tasha. From there, we see Tariq. And Tariq, he has to go and Stansfield, whatever that school name is, the school that Tasha got him in after promising Stern truth after Tariq gets in his inheritance. That whole deal that they made last season. He gets his inheritance after he graduates, that was the clause that Ghost put in there because he didn't want Tariq to be about them streets like he was. And I'm like, the boy still can do that. He can sell drugs and go to school at the same damn time. And that's exactly what Rick is doing right now. So he goes, and Stern, his crooked ass, he agreed to get him into this school because that's his alma mater, and he probably donated hella buku money there. So he got an interview or whatnot, and Tariq running late for the interview to get there. And then it's this black lady, I don't know if she like the dean or whatnot of students or whoever. And she's like, coming down on him, like saying, especially since he's a black, student. He has to be punctual. He got to be this. He got to be that, and it's all this stuff because he's still all white school, and you can't be making black people look bad, stuff like that. Like, they're gonna look at you way more critical, which is true. It's sad but true, and it's real fucked up. But that's just the sad reality, especially up in them like Ivy League schools and all that. So yeah, one of the clauses of Tariq getting into this school is that he has to tutor one of like the star basketball player for the school or whatnot, which is that's just very much real. Them damn ballers and stuff be dumb as a door. Not all of them. Now, don't come for me, but a lot of them, they be having tutors and whatnot because if they don't get the right GPA or whatnot, they don't play. And that's pretty much what they told Tariq. If he don't play, you don't stay. That's the contingency of him staying at this school. He has to make sure that this boy passes. And he was like, what class am I tutoring, homeboy? And they were like, all of them, homeboy. He got to pass everything. So Tariq got a lot on his plate just with that. So from there, hold on, y'all. Let me see. From there, Tariq goes to meet with a counselor, and on his way to go, because he lost on campus, he just new there, freshman and whatnot, he goes to meet with the counselor, and on his way, some little cute girl come up, and she's like, you look lost, where you trying to go? And he's like, I'm trying to go see my counselor or whatnot. And she shows him, he's like, oh, I'm going that way, come with me. And then they talking and kikiing, and then she asked him, was he gonna be in her class? And I'm like, girl, how you know if he gonna be in your class? Because of the counselor he going to see is she teach, what is it called, y'all? I couldn't get the name. It's canonic studies. You think I went to school or something? I went to school, y'all, but that's the name of the canonic. I'm sorry, I feel like going back, and they said it 18 times, and it's just like a tongue twister or whatever. And that's the class that the homegirl in, and that's the class that his counselor teaches. And let me fix this. I feel like my screen is going down. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, so he goes to see the counselor and whatnot, and she well, before he goes see her, he say bye to homegirl. He asked her, what's your name? She's like, it's Lauren. I hope to see you around. He's like, all right, bet. Then, why is my camera sorry, y'all. Come on. Y'all, my camera, I guess it's not staying in. It keeps dripping down. I gotta get it. I gotta fix it. But I'm gonna try and get through this video, then I'll fix it. But anyway, so he goes to his counselor. And she black, because he was like, I don't know why they sent me to you anyway as an advisor. And then she was like, I know it could be hard, starting a new school, especially at the type of school, because it's an all-white school and whatnot. He was like, I don't know why they think that I would need counseling, especially since I grew up going to all-white school. It ain't no new thing to me. And then she was like, well, Tariq, it's more so about your circumstances as far as your father passing and your mother being on trial. He's like, oh yeah, so he's just kind of like, whatever. He is very unfazed. Everybody thinking like, oh, Tariq, you probably so, torn up. Or I'm like, no, that little nigga is the one that pulled the trigger. So no, he is not torn apart or whatever. He alright. He cool. So even Tamika, when she was talking about at the arraignment before they went in, she was like, Tariq, I may say some things about your father, some horrible things. So I just want you to know that you're okay. I'm like, he the one that murdered him, okay? And he knew exactly what the fuck his father was doing. So anyway, and then we saw Lil, she ain't that little no more. She was like, Tariq, come home. Come live with us and Big Mama. You ain't got to go to school right now. And I'm like, girl, he got to go to school, get that money. I be in school trying to get all A's too. Shit, fuck that. Millions of dollars, all the ghost money, fuck that. I'm going there and I'm fucking shit up. Yes, I'm doing good. I ain't going to no parties. I ain't drinking. I ain't nothing. But from there, we see it goes back to Tasha or whatnot. And Tasha, oh wait, no, not before that. He's talking to the counselor school too, and he wanted to know about the canonic studies that Lauren was telling him about. And then she was like, oh yeah, that's the class that I teach. And he was like, I understand that if I take that class, she's like, it's a very rigorous curriculum for that class. And if you take that class, you can apply to graduate up to a year early. But she was like, although most students opt to stay the full 4 years. And he was like, oh, okay, so how do I apply? She was like, Tariq, are you sure you want to take that on? He's like, look, I'm not looking for charity, but I need to get out of school. And she's like, you just got here. He's like, well, I got to get out so I can help my mama and my sister and my grandmama and stuff, because they need me and stuff. So, because, you know, he the man of the house now because Ghost is gone and they ain't got no money like that. So she's like, well, it's an oral exam or whatnot, oral interview, entrance interview, and it's on this book. You got to read this book, and then we'll go from there. And he has to interview for it. And then, you know, he said he ain't looking for no favors. He just wants an opportunity. And she's like, okay, then, little homie, if you think you could do it, I'll set it up for you. So from there, then we go see Tasha back at jail or whatnot. She talking to the lawyer about the plea deal. And the plea deal is for that Tamika got her, is she'll have 4 years probation and whatnot, but it'll happen the next day in the courtroom. But she has to say, they have to go over and make sure that her story is airtight. And they were like, it all has to add up, because if the prosecutor starts coming at her with some shit or questions or whatnot, she has to have exact answers. Like, she can't be fucking it up, fumbling of the bag or nothing. She has to have everything, you know, T's crossed, I's dotted. So she was like, so you don't have to tell me some shit. Like, did you know the exact time that Ghost was going to be at Truth after that big ass party when all the cameras were shut off? Nobody, no security, nothing, and nobody was in the building, and it was just him. How did you know that exact time? Who was somebody else there? Did somebody tell you? Because you showed up right when that happened, and they already know that she wasn't there previously. So she was like, and then, you know, she had already set up Quintonine, you know, her little boo thing, and tried to set him up as the killer, but that didn't work for her. And because he had that good alibi, he went to go get some coffee. He's like, girl, you ain't gonna play me, your pussy ain't that good. And Tasha always getting played by the niggas that she fuck with, so she should have saw that coming. But yeah, so she was like, what? I already told you everything that happened. She's like, no, they're gonna come at you and you need answers. Who are you protecting? Why aren't you saying? You gotta have to say who it is. She was pushing, and then she was like, who would you protect like that? And then Tamika started, you know, putting two and two together, and she's like, is it Tariq? Are you protecting him? And then she was like, just get out, you're fired. You know, that's what Tasha said. And I'm like, girl, okay, that's gonna be fucked up. Tamika is a good lawyer at the end of the day, and she's like, you're fired or whatnot, because she was like, I can't represent you if you're not going to be telling the truth, and because I could lose my license. Enough Tamika that got fired from up in the FBI and stuff, so she don't need no more L's on her shit. So she fires Tamika, and then from there Tamika calls Tariq, and she was like and told him, you know, the situation that, you know, your mama fired me, and I don't know who it seems like she protecting. I don't know who she protecting, but I'm not representing her no more, and she needs to find a good lawyer fast. So now Tariq like, damn, what am I gonna do? Hold on. Yeah, and then Tamika tells Tariq like she needs to find a lawyer who can get her a win without the truth, you know, because if she ain't gonna say and spit who it is, then she gonna have to find somebody who was okay with that, but that ain't me, partner. And then from there, we like, okay, who is it? We see the back of somebody's head, and who is it? Method Man, Wu-Tang. I was like, oh, he's a lawyer in here. I don't know if I knew that from before. I don't think so. And he is, Tariq is in the courtroom looking at Method Man defend somebody. He like what he see, because, you know, Method Man up in there talking slick. I think his name Davis or something in here. I'll get it right next time, y'all. And he was defending some greasy, guilty looking dude, and I'm sure he probably got him off too. He looked like he was straight up in organized crime. He like you know, like mafia type stuff, but that's just stereotypical. But anyway, that's what he had looked like to me. So from there, Tariq stops him and he was like, oh, excuse me, whatever. He was like, kid, I ain't got time. I'm on my way to a meeting. He was like, no, I need to hire you. My mom is on trial for shooting my dad. He was like, St. Patrick. You're St. Patrick. He was like, good. He's like, I seen y'all in the papers and blah, 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 blah. And then he was like, yeah, except for your mama with the smoking gun. He's like, sorry, kid, your mama going to jail. You just need to just move on with your life. Don't let your parents define you. That advice is absolutely free. And he was like, I didn't say I need that. I need to hire you. And he was like, how much? He was like, you can't afford it. He's like, how much? He was like, look, give me, what is it, $500K? And then we could talk, shawty. And then Tariq was like, damn. So now Tariq got to tutor some jock dude, get good grades, get $500K to get Tasha a new cricket lawyer. Like, he got a lot. All Tariq was doing this whole episode was running around like a chicken with his head cut off. So from there, we see, what is it? Tariq is at home, well, his big mama house, and he going through his mama's stuff from the daycare, and he was like, and she trying to talk to him like, Tariq, we got to plan your father's funeral. And I was like, oh, they actually talking about Ghost's funeral? I thought they was going to do him like they did Rondo Empire and then just jump over the fact that he died and not give him a funeral and shit. But, you know, he was the main character. So I guess they are going to hold the funeral. Are we going to see it? I don't know. Who going to go to that bitch? Who going to go to Ghost's funeral? Like, for real, for real. Who was Ghost? The Ghost fuck with like that it would go to his funeral? Like, it's just going to be them. But anyway, or people who they're just to be phony in the network on some bullshit. So he was like, Mom, look, Big Mama, look. She was like, don't you want to talk to me? And all that, you know, she think that he needs to open up about his feelings, about his father. He was like, no, if you want to help me find Mama's books. And do you, cause I need to find, she was like, what are you looking for? And then at that moment, the phone rang, Tasha calling from jail. And then she was like, your mom want to talk to you. And he talked to Tasha, and then he was like, Mom, why did you fire Tamika? What happened? And then, you know, she's like, oh, how you found out? He's like, she called me. And then she was like, don't worry, I'm just going to get a public defender, and I'll take care of him. I'm like, girl, you get a public defender, your ass going to go to jail forever. They going to throw the key under the jail. You ain't getting out for nothing if you going by public defenders, girl. You better quit playing. So he was like, nah, Mom, what about your one friend who used to, whose kid used to always pick up late? What about them? She was like, Tariq, don't think about opening up the daycare right now. I just want you to focus on school and let me worry about everything else. Promise me this. And he's like, yeah, you know he ain't gonna listen. So from there, Tariq, what happens? He goes and he's looking through her books and whatnot, and he does find Epiphany, that stripper that Tasha used to have move product for her back at the daycare before her ass got busted by the feds. Then we see a little tidbit of the counselor that Tariq was talking to, and I thought it was just her that did the interview to let the kids into her. I thought it was her class only, but apparently it's her and this other dude that heads off the curriculum for the class and somebody else. But she's talking to the dude at that time. I didn't catch his name. I don't even know if they gave it. And they talking and whatnot. And he was like, no, we already have a full set for that class. And then she was like, why don't you, was he not black enough for you or whatnot? Not like in color, but the fact that he comes from, you know, a privileged family. And he was like, well, if he was a white kid trying to get in this class, why should we bend over backwards for him? Just because the circumstances and whatnot. We not handing out no charity, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, don't take this out on him about what we got going on. I'm like, what y'all got going on? I'm like, I don't need no extraness. I'm like, come on now, because I need this show to go in like a direction. I don't need too many side stories. Like, they introduced a lot of stuff in this episode, and I'm like, don't be all over the place, because people need like certain storylines to follow. Just don't overdo it. I mean, it was good, but it was just a lot going on in this. So we got a little peek into her. So I guess she used to mess with the other counselor teacher or whatever. And I'm like, see, that's why y'all need to stop fucking people at your job, because that's messy. And then you ain't gonna want to go to work and stuff, and y'all gonna always be getting into it. But anyway, So she was like, just give him a chance. And he was like, all right, fine, I'll meet him or whatever, but so-and-so ain't gonna go for it. And so apparently they had to convince somebody else, I guess, who heads the class all the way. And she was like, well, if we both come at him, then we could probably get him in. He was like, okay, if I'm impressed by him, then I'll advocate for him. But if he ain't wasting my time, I'm not going to do it, girl. And then she was like, all right, that's all I wanted. So from there, we see Tariq is back at the dorms or whatnot, and his one little white friend, like the little young Tommy version that he was moving weight with back when he was in that other in the choke or whatever school, is there at Stansfield or whatnot, the school he had. Now he's like, what you doing here? He was like, shit, my parents, this is my parents' alma mater. Everybody in my family go to this school, and he got a fucking swimming auditorium named after his family's name is in there, and that's how it go. You know, whoever donate that money, your generations are always plugged in that university. White privilege at its best. But anyway, nepotism, all that, systematic racism, yeah. Anyway, so from there, he was like, yeah, everybody go to this school. And then from my family. And then he was like, oh, it's so dope that we going to be back together. I hope we could reconnect, especially after that fucked up shit happened with Effie. Because y'all know that Effie set his ass up and shit. And he got kicked out of school or whatnot. Because they found out he was pushing drugs or whatnot. She straight set his ass up. So he was like, oh, where Effie is? She here? He was like, nah, she going to, she got accepted to Yale. I was like, okay, go little Effie girl. She's smart. Because she definitely fooled your dumb ass, Tariq. You always think you so smart. Tariq is one of those kids who just too smart for his own good, and he ended up doing just all types of dumb ass shit. And then his daddy ain't there to clean it up now. Uncle Tommy ain't there to clean it up now. So he gonna have to fucking get his shit together. Otherwise, he gonna end up fucked up real fast. Because ain't nobody there cleaning up his mess this time. Okay? Tariq, don't fuck up. So from there, we see from there he goes and he meets up with, from there he goes and he does his oral interview or whatnot. And it turns out that he never finished the book. He gets up, he goes and runs to go try to do all that interview. And he's talking a good game at first. And then the lady counselor, like, she kind of trying to coerce and helps him a little bit, but the other white dude who's on the board of the interview for the class, like, do not help him, because he asked him a question like, what did you think about the ending of the book? And he hadn't read it all the way through. He was honest and said he didn't read the book all the way through or whatnot, but he did speak on what he did know about in the book or whatnot. So I'm like, well, this ain't looking good, Tariq. You fucked up. He's supposed to be so smart. You couldn't finish that book though. But anyway, what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. If I'm missing it, I'll go back. But anyway, from there we see, and then from after, since he fucked up in the interview, the dude and the black dude was like, you just wasted time. We just gave this boy a last minute interview after the class was closed, and he didn't even read the whole book. And she was like, y'all gotta give him a chance, because you know he just been through so much. How many kids do you know that would be that resilient that their parents, his father just passed his mama on trial for the murder, and he's still trying, he's still here, he's so resilient, he's still here, and he's a different type of thinker, and you could tell that just from how he answered the questions and blah, blah. His answers wasn't that great, but calm down, girl, you just like too in love with him. But anyway, so she was just trying to say to give the boy another chance, and it was like, I don't know about that. But then even homeboy trying to jump in that was against helping her old boo, the counselor old boo, he jumped in and was like, you know, tried to help and advocate. So I'm like, are you trying to just get in good? Are you really impressed by Tariq, or are you trying to get that old thing back last minute or something? I don't know. So I don't know what his intentions really were, but to help to get Tariq back in. Either way, it's going to benefit Tariq. But anyway, from there, we see a couple things happen, y'all. I'm sorry if it's all over the place. When Tariq finally does meet his roommate, the jock basketball player dude, He go into his new dorm to move in. Homeboy is up in there fucking some girl, doggy style. He's like, oh, my bad. You need me to come back? He's like, no, it's cool, it's cool. And then he's like, I'm about to be done in a minute. Anyway, she's like, a minute. And I'm like, you know that little girl, she probably fucked everybody. She ain't had no shame. This is college. You ain't trying to cover up nothing. Ugh. But anyway, so that we can see that he is like the typical jock hooper or whatever, that's fucking every girl he can. I mean, I don't know, that could be his girlfriend, but you know, it just seemed like he ain't like the types to have a girlfriend the way he just by his demeanor, just from that. So that's who Tariq gonna be having to be around and tutor. So from there we go and we see Sax. We haven't seen Sax the whole time. We see Sax and he goes and he's talking to homeboy from the DNC who was there last time, who came in and cleaned up that shit and told them to, he told homeboy, what's his name, Warren, last season, to let shit go when it came to James St. Patrick and to not keep pursuing stuff because he's the DNC nominated candidate, and Warren kept pushing for it, and then that he ended up fired. Homeboy's there because now Sax is the head person in charge now. And I'm like, Sax is not going to keep that job. Sax is too crooked, too stupid. It's not going to work for Sax. It's just, you can tell it's not going to work for Sax because Sax don't know how to, he can't hold a position high. He needs to be one of the lower level people because he always on some dirty, grimy shit. It's just not cut out for it. And you could tell that later in the episode. So from there, they're talking to him, and he was like, well, how is this a federal case when it comes... Oh, and Sax and the Asian dude, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, who was from Power too, that he moved on and Angela got him that job. What is his name? I don't want to say another Asian name, and it's not it. But him, y'all know who I'm talking about. And they talking about how they want to come at Tasha on the kingpin status and put everything on her because it's a lot of stuff that they don't want to come out about James St. Patrick and his shady dealing because that's how Tasha's getting that deal anyway. So whatnot, he was like, Tasha she might have known what James was doing, but she was definitely not in charge of nothing, which is true. But they were like, look, we need to pin this shit on somebody. And Sax just wasn't having it. He was like, nah, I don't think that we gonna go that way about it. And then homeboy from the DNC was like, oh, okay. So I was like, oh, if he done talking and he walk off, I'm like, that's not a good sign, Sax. You might be losing your job like tomorrow. We'll see. But from there, we see Sax go, oh yeah, because they were trying to build a whole RICO, the same RICO, that old tire RICO case that they were trying to put on James. They trying to put it on Tasha now. I'm like, y'all let that shit go. Leave that woman alone. James is gone. Y'all didn't get him when y'all could, so just give the fuck up. So even Sax is like, let the shit go now. Like, so you know they need to move on. So, yeah, from there, that's when we see Tariq and his new roommate. And then from there, Sax goes to dinner with his family because I guess it's to congratulate him on getting the new position as the head in the FBI or whatnot. And you can see they called him, I think, Nancy or something. He was like, come on, I just got a promotion and I still can't get called by my name. And they were like, oh, we're sorry. And you know, he just gets picked on. You can tell that he's the odd one out in his family. And apparently one of his sisters usually stands up for him, but she wasn't there. So then he was going and they was all making fun of him, but then they were like, oh no, for real, you know, thank you for, you know, bringing working back in a public office, saving our family name, you know, because, you know, Sax was fired and shit, and it was embarrassing shit and everything. His family rich as fuck. I'm like, he didn't have to even go in that field or whatnot, but maybe he want to be in politics. I don't fucking know. And then he has a brother too, and then it jumps to him talking to his brother. His brother was like, why don't you just come and work for me? We got a position and some. I forgot what the fuck his brother does. And he was like, I just got my job. Didn't you just hear? I don't need no job from you. You my little brother. I'm like, damn, you older than him and he's just treating you like that. I'm like, you the big little brother like that. Oh, okay, I understand. I get it. It be, siblings like that where the younger sibling is way more mature and way more like, advanced in life than the other sibling. Happens all the time because I'm one of those siblings because I'm the youngest, but you wouldn't know that. But what just happened? Y'all hope my video don't cut off. I thought I cleared it up good enough to record this. So anyway, from there, so he was like, I don't want no job from you. I'm good. He was like, homie, you gonna fuck up. I bet you gonna fuck up your job. You probably already done did some shit that's gonna cost you the job because you don't do well under pressure, which is true. His family knows him very well. His brother was like, look, why don't you just come work for me before you fuck this shit up and then you ain't gotta embarrass our family name no more. I'm like, damn, ain't got no faith in Sax at all. So I'm like, this is why Sax act the way he do, because his family just don't think he shit just because he ain't shit. So, oh well. From there, we see the Zeke basketball player dude take Tariq out to Queens, and he's like, you ever been out here? He was like, yeah, I came out to Queens a few times before. He's like, this year where you grew up? He was like, nah, I grew up down south and then I moved up here or whatnot, and I live with my auntie Monet or whatnot and her kids, and we grew up together or whatnot, and I went to school, but they my cousins, but we really got brought up like siblings. He's like, you know how that is. He's like, that's family. He was like, well, I don't know how that shit go because I ain't got much family. He's like, oh, okay. Well, sometimes not having so much family is a good thing. And yes, that is true. No shade, but shit, I got a big family too. That shit can be hectic. So it's a whole big ass party going on. Congratulating Zeke on, getting into the Stansfield and whatnot. And, he wants to he's like, everybody wants to meet who's going to be tutoring me and helping me out or whatnot. He told Tariq that he got this report due on Moby Dick and whatnot. And then he was like, and Tariq all like, you ain't read Moby Dick before? Man, every school I went to, they made me read that. He was like, man, ain't no school I went to wanted me to read. And that is exactly true. If you can make the ball into the basket and dunk on motherfuckers and cross over, they don't really give a fuck about you actually being educated at them schools as long as you can make a basket. Again, not everybody, but that's pretty much how that shit go. I've seen it a million times, and we know how that shit is, and they cover up shit for athletes all the damn time. So anyway, they at the party or whatnot, and then Tariq like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. He like, yeah, the bathroom right back in the front where you just where we just came in at. He's like, all right, bet. He going to the bathroom, somebody up in there getting their dick sucked. I was like, ugh. I'm like, okay now, y'all. How come can't no girl be getting no head or something? Let's not have all these girls up in this episode just doing all types of nasty things to these little boys, and ain't no girls getting no head, and ain't nobody girls getting nothing. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's the second scene we see where a girl is just out there looking like a thought. Like, these boys out here being hoish too, doing some things. Had them looking a mess, okay? So anyway, Tariq like, oh, so he just leave back out the bathroom, and then he meet Zeke in the back, and that's where the real party is, because they got like hella shit going on. It's a nice ass house, low key, and it's a whole party and everything. And then he introduced him to his little, Zeke introduces him to his cousin, who's another girl. I'm like, okay, is Tariq gonna have some love and multiple love interests in this season or whatnot, or in this whole thing? And the little cousin, she seemed like she like a little smitten by him or whatnot, and they get to talking. She's like, oh, so how's the school and everything? He's like, it's cool, woo, 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 and all that. He was like, I was trying to get, he was like, what he say? First he was like, I was trying to get into the bathroom, but it seemed like it was occupied. He's like, also another, Zeke was like, he's going back downstairs, and then he points out who was in the bathroom. He's like, oh, that's just, and then the girl, the cousin, she's like, oh, that's just my brother. Forgot his name, whatever, it's not relevant at this moment. Yeah, or whatever. And then it's some dude, we see another shot coming in to the back of the party, and he looking real pressed, and I'm like, who is homeboy? And then he was like, they like, oh, that's so-and-so, he probably coming to look for his girl. And turns out the girl is the chick that was giving a blowjob to homeboy, the cousin, in the bathroom. I'm like, okay, so she's just a little scandalous hoe. I'm like, okay then. So he all dude huffing and puffing, talking to the cousin like, where my girl at? And then dude like, how I'm supposed to know where your bitch at, homie? And he was like, what you say? And I'm like, you a whipped ass motherfucker. How you gonna come up to some dude's house party or whatnot looking for your girl when she's clearly there with dude? And then he was like, man, you better get the fuck from over here. And then they like, Auntie Monet or whatever. Who is the auntie? Mary J. Blige. So I'm like, okay. And then Mary J. Blige had the nerve to talk about, so she don't want to be called auntie. I'm like, girl, you playing a literal auntie on this show. But anyway, so from there, she stepped out and she immediately, as soon as she saw shit popping off, she told Zeke to take his ass in the house. He is too valuable to the family to be a part of any of that fuck shit. So she told him to take his black ass up in the house, and that's exactly what he did. And everybody else just standing around, and they start fighting and shit. And then the girl, and then Mary kind of break it up. She like, okay, that's enough, y'all. What? She didn't break it up, but she just said that's enough because. And then the dude who was fighting with the cousin, he see the girl, she's just standing there. She ain't look pressed about him getting punched in the face or nothing. He like talking about some, oh, let's go, come on. And she's like, no, I want to stay. I'm like, girl, what you gonna do, stay suck some more dicks? Like, ugh. And I'm like, why you still trying to get this hoe back? Maybe she your baby mama. I don't know, but girl, I'm like, boy, let it go, because she ain't worth it. And then he's like, whatever, he leave. And then the cousin like, oh yeah, he'll be back. And we know what he gonna be back with, so he probably gonna pop that truck. So, but they just kept on partying because, and then Tariq gonna ask the cousin, he's like, you ain't gonna pause and look at what's going on? She was like, that's just how shit go down in this family. It's always like that over here. So she seemed like she not really a part or with the fuck shit and the violence and shit, but that's just her family. So from there, what else happened? We see, hold on, y'all. Hold on. We see it jumps to a scene with Sax and Tamika. So then we find out that Sax is the one that told Tamika to take Tasha's case in the first place as a favor. Because, you know, Sax is only doing that to cover his ass because he was at the scene of the crime, and he remember everybody. That's why we had that who killed Ghost thing, and he was the one that was trying to go and kill Ghost. And if Tariq would have just waited a little bit, somebody else would have killed Ghost, and they wouldn't even been in this predicament in the first place. But you know, that's how Tariq threatened Sax in before last season, because he was like, I saw you. He's like, I don't want to have to say that I saw you the day that my dad get killed or whatever with a gun. And that's why he let Tariq and let Tasha's little story ride. But from there, he's telling that he finally tells Tamika that, and she was like, are you fucking serious? She's like, so you were on, because he was talking about some hypothetically, what if somebody had evidence or somebody had a witness that that a public official was at the scene of a crime with a gun and blah, blah, blah. She was like, Sax, what? She's like, I took this case, and you said, she was like, and you telling me this, we don't have attorney-client privilege. So anything that you're telling me right now, they can bring me up and I have to tell them what the fuck you just told me. He was like, you ain't got to. She was like, you know what, Sax, you messy as fuck. You done already got me into this bullshit. Tasha done fired me. Just get the fuck on. Get the fuck out. And she just kicked his ass out. She's like, I don't know you. She did the black girl cat. I don't know you. Get up out my house. So she kicked his ass out. From there, we see... what else? Hold on, y'all. It go back to the party, and then homeboy come back because he's salty about his girlfriend and being embarrassed in front of all them folks. I'm like, homie, you embarrassed yourself coming up into that boy's house trying to look for your girlfriend who clearly don't want to be with you since she has some other nigga house sucking his dick. So he come back with a gun, and he telling to Mary J. Blige character, Auntie, Talking about some, nah, I'm tired of him hiding behind you. Where he at? Where he at? He's sitting there with a little handgun. She be like, he right behind you, about to blow your fucking brains out. I advise you to take your ass home. And then he is behind him with a fucking shotgun, like what it is. Then all of a sudden the police pull up. But they didn't pull up like normal police, because if all these black folks and guns is out, police ain't just gonna creep up slow like that. So I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, and then there was a scene before that when Tariq was talking to the little cousin girl, and they were in the inside, in like the living room or whatever, family room, and he was looking at the family in a picture, and then she was like, yeah, you know, we black and Puerto Rican, my dad, you know, he's on the inside. And then he was like, oh, for real, my mama on the inside too. What he in for? She like, what you think? And then he like, oh, and then she's like, yeah, you know, but we just been, you know, holding down since he been gone and all that, blah, 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 blah. So you can tell that his dad is in organized crime and all that too. So they got similar backgrounds. So maybe that might be a thing that get them, you know, cool and together just to share similar stories. And then back to the police and everything, at the little standoff with the gun. Homeboy ends up just walking away, and the police come out, and he's Hispanic looking, of the Puerto Rican nature, and he's like, is everything okay? To Mary J. Blige, she's like, yeah, everything's fine, we cool. So you know that they got the police, or at least the police around there, on lock, and they ain't gonna do shit to them. So from there, Tariq was like, I gotta go. And he, when he's like, I got shit to do tomorrow, I gotta go. So he went ahead and left, and he's like, tell Zeke I'll see his ass on campus later, but I'm good. So again, the next day we see Tasha. She in jail, she's stressed out and shit. What the hell? Sorry, y'all, trying to read my handwriting. And from there, Tasha, she go back to the prosecutor, and she has a district attorney now, or not district attorney, she has a public defender now, and it's a little Becky girl, little white, chunky white girl. She coming in, she got like 18 folders, fumbling all around, and Tasha's like, oh my God, you my lawyer? And she's like, yeah, sorry I'm late, I just got so much on my mind, it's just a day. Oh my God. I'm like, girl, just a day? You ain't the one in jail? What the fuck? Is that how you gonna come to your clients? And that's how a lot of them public defenders be, and that's why motherfuckers, especially black folks who can't, or minorities, can't afford no lawyers, and they get appointed people like that, and they just get locked up for a million years longer than they would if they had some money. So she was talking about some, oh, why did you fire Tamika? I hear she's a really good lawyer, and blah, 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 and this is this. And she was like, yeah, now they're trying to give you some type of deal where you'll only get about like, and there ain't no deal on the table now, since she's not talking about some, now it's like 15 years they trying to give her. She's like, if I were you, I'd take it. I'm like, okay, she's a horrible lawyer, as we can clearly see. And then, so at that point, the prosecutor comes back in, and she was like, okay, Tasha, enough with the bullshit. You didn't already lie to me twice. So the ballistics came back on the gun, and and unless you were standing up on top of a chair or something when you shot Ghost, you ain't the one that shot him. So who are you protecting? The deal's off the table unless you tell us who the shooter was or who you were conspiring with. You're gonna have to name some names, or your ass, black ass, is going to jail. She's like, well, because the lawyer, public defender's like, well, if you know she didn't kill him, then why are you still charging her? Like, cause conspiracy, and she had conspiracy to commit murder, and she still set up Quentin on all that shit, so she knew what was going on, but she's just not the person who pulled the trigger. So we still gonna take you down for this murder unless you name some names, then you get that deal back. And she's like, you gotta say somebody, and she, Tasha just sitting there like, fuck, she fucked up. I'm like, girl, yeah, you sitting there trying to put stuff on folks. Y'all ain't got as many friends up in the FBI with the federales no more, so y'all gonna have to come better than that. So she go ahead and say that it was Andre Coleman is the one that shot Ghost. So I'm like, he was on his way to do it, but he didn't get there. But anyway, so they're like, okay, they gonna run that. And she's like, don't lie to me no more, Tasha. Don't lie to me no more. I already gave you a chance and all that. She's like, whatever. So now Tasha's just like, fuck. So she's fucked. And from there, we see Tariq gets a text. Tariq back at the dorms. He get a text from Lauren, and she like, let's meet for coffee. So he meet with her for coffee, and then so he thinks that she's trying to, like, you know, get up and talk to him. She's like, no, the counselor told her about how things went with the interview, the oral interview, and how he didn't read the whole book, and she just wanted him to talk to him. She wanted her to talk to him and to say that he's going to get another chance. So he's like, oh, okay, bet. She was like, he's like, oh, well, I don't need your help. She was like, I figured you'd say that. And he's like, yeah, I finished the book yesterday. And then he gave her a little speech about how the person in the book was a shooter and who committed murder. And then he ended up dying and killing a priest or whatnot. But he got killed. But everything that he did, it was a choice. Those were his own actions. And you could tell that he wasn't exactly talking about the characters in the book. He was more so applying that to his own life and whatnot, and his own decisions and where it's led him and his father. So, yeah, but she was like, okay, well, if you tell them that, then I think that they'll let you in and blah, blah, blah. He like, all right, bet. She's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Then who outside tapping on the window? Sex. I'm like, Sex, you need to stop stalking these kids. What is wrong with you? And he like, what's going on? I heard your mom fired Tamika and she didn't take the deal. He's like, yeah, well, I'm trying to find her another lawyer. And if you don't help me find her another lawyer, I'm going to have to name names and tell them that you were at the scene of the crime when my father was killed or whatnot. And they can do what they want to do with that. And he was like, no, how do you think? He's like, I helped you with Tamika and all that. She's like, well, my mama still ain't home. So you going to have to help some more. I'm telling. So he's like, fuck. He's like, well, your mother's going to have to name some names because it's already come out that she is clearly not the one that shot your father. And ballistics came back and they went and ran a thing on Andre Coleman at this point, and there's no gun residue or nothing. There's no way that Andre is the one that killed your father 20 minutes before his ass got arrested, because you know he was arrested right after that, and there was no gun residue. There's no way he would have had the time to change his clothes, do all that shit, and then get arrested. So he was like, your mama needs to start talking and telling the truth, or her ass is going to jail. So he's like, damn. So he's like, well, you got to help me figure this out, because what the fuck, I need to get her a lawyer. And he's trying to get Method Man, but Method Man ain't trying to talk to him until he gets some money. And he does link up with Epiphany or whatnot. And first he goes to see Effie. I'm sorry if this is not in the right order. He goes to see Effie or whatnot after homeboy, his friend, told him about Effie being at Yale. He goes to see her at Yale, and she's still slanging drugs, and she told him it ain't no hard feelings, it's just business. You was coming in on the territory, and I had to shut your ass down or whatnot. So, and she's apparently still selling drugs over at Yale, because she hands him over a book bag and whatnot. She's like, you're not gonna pay me for this? And he was like, oh, just consider it. It's not personal, it's just business. He's like, so was all that just a lie? You like it? She's like, no, I really did like you. And she all playing with his jacket and stuff. And I'm like, girl, get back. I'm like, why don't you have some better goals to get away from niggas like that? And so I guess that's not the last we've seen of Effie, because she hooks him up with the drugs, and then he goes and gives it to Epiphany. And first she was like, I know you from, and he goes to the strip club to find her, and she was like, I'm not dealing with your mama, because she got the cops all around her. He's like, my mama in jail. And she's like, oh shit, I need to watch the news. And then she was like, okay, well, I owe your mama a solid, so I will help you, but you got to get your own product. And then i.e. he got it from Effie, gave it to Epiphany. She, in turn, gave him the money or whatnot that the girl sold or whatnot. And in between all this, he, went at the dorms, he asked Zeke, like, hey, can I use your phone? He's like, for what? He's like, oh, because I want to use, his platform, because he got hella followers. And then when he does, he's like, all right, cool. He's like, what's it for? He's like, I want to help my mom. He's like, all right, cool. So Tariq goes on to the IG Live, and he was like, I just want to thank Davis or so-and-so, whatever Method Man's character name is, so much for helping us. We're a black family, And he said he's agreed to represent my mom in the case, and I just know he gonna get her free and all that. So Method Man's character sees that, and he like, oh, hell no. So he texts Tariq or calls him, and he was like, meet me at his school at the chapel in 15 minutes. And then he talks to Tariq and he's like, okay, so what's up? And he was like, well, they're saying that my mom has to name names and whatnot, and if she want to get out and she got to tell the story. He's like, she did tell everything. He was like, well, and then he asked Method Man, can I tell you can I trust you? He was like, well, I'm all you got, so you're gonna have to trust somebody. And then he was like, okay, well, tell mom. And then, he gave him the money and everything, but he was like, he told, after Tariq gave him all that money, he told him that bought him 5 days. Tariq was like, that's all I need. And he was like, tell my mom that to come home, she doesn't deserve this, and if she really loves me, she will say who he is. He said he, and she will come home. And he was like, all right, kid, I'll tell it to her, but she gonna have to say something, otherwise her ass gonna stay in jail. So from there, what else, y'all? Tariq goes to his interview, again, his second chance interview. He's impresses the white man, because that's pretty much who he has to impress at that point, and all of them, the counselor and all that and whatnot. So it seems like everything's going to be a go for him being in canonic studies and everything. From there, we go and we see Method Man goes to see Tasha. Method Man goes to see Tasha, and he's like, she's like, Tariq. He was like, girl, who raised your child? He's like, I don't know if I should congratulate you on the child you raised, or if I should call child services on how that boy act. And she was like, that boy loves his mama. I'm like, Tasha, you done fucked up your child's head so bad, and you sitting here proud of it. That is toxicity at its finest, just generational curses, all that locked up in one, girl. But anyway, he's like, look, girl, you gonna have to say something, and because ain't no way I'm gonna get you off, because they already showed that Andre Coleman did not do that shit. You gonna have to tell the fucking truth, or you gonna have to name somebody's name, or you are going to jail. There's nothing else I can do. They're putting the pressure on you. You can get the 3-year deal if you name names. You have to name somebody. And then she just sitting there looking stressed out and stuck. Then we go to the next day when she's at her court date where she got to say somebody's name, and then the judge asks her again to tell the truth or whatnot, and she's like, I'm sorry, I was hiding somebody, and I'm ready to tell the truth. I was trying to protect my family. And then Tariq is there too, and Saxo funky ass is there too, waiting to see what Tasha gonna say. And then what does Tasha say? She's talking about the person who killed my husband is Tommy Egan. And I'm like, Tasha, now you done already killed Keisha, girl. Now you about to lie on Tommy. He gonna come all the way back from wherever he at out on the West Coast and shoot your ass, because you sitting here lying on him. You was like a sister to him, but you done already cost him a lot, girl. So he already almost blew your brains out before. You better quit playing with Tommy. You know Tommy, he will murder his mama. Like, so you better quit playing. And I think he liked you more than his mama, but still, girl, quit playing. So they're like, oh my God. And then the prosecutor was like, why would James St. Patrick be killed by Tommy Egan, his childhood lifelong friend? She's like, because I told him to. And I'm like, Tasha, why did you open your fucking mouth? Because Sax is sitting right there with homeboy, and they were like, oh, we can get her on that. Since she yelled that out in a court of law saying she initiated the killing of her husband, they like, we can get her on that RICO queen pin status case. Boom, turns into a federal. They whispered amongst each other, and they were like, and then Sax jumps in, and the judge is like, I hope you got something good to say, Sax, while you jumping in court saying something. And then they're like, yeah, Your Honor, and he passes it off to the prosecutor. Now they introduce that they want to arrest Tasha St. Patrick Green, whatever she want to fucking call herself, on a RICO case under the queen pin stature, and they take her ass back off to judge. She was like, what? You know I wasn't in charge of that shit. I ain't do this. I ain't kill nobody. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Tasha, you should have shut the fuck up. Method Man grabbed you and tried to tell your ass, girl, you better be quiet. Did nobody ask you to say nothing extra. You let your lawyer talk for you. That's why you pay him 500 kaya. Okay? But no, she sat there and she set her dumb ass self up for failure. So from there, they take Tasha's ass away back to jail. the guard girl was like, I knew you would be back, bitch. I'm like, damn, that's probably how they do be talking to people. They just rude, ain't got no manners, they can treat people like animals up in jail. That's why they act like that. But anyway, so Tasha ends back in jail, so I don't know where it's gonna go from there. And then we go and we see back in court, we see Tariq talking to Method Man, and he was like, what all don't I know about your mama and everything? What is going on? He's like, my mom didn't do this and blah blah blah. And he was like, look, Saxon, you know, they're just after headlines and publicity and all that or whatnot. He was like, but I just got you the biggest case of your whole entire career. I'm like, Tariq, you really landed on thick. And he was like, if you win this, he's like, no, when you win this, you will be the most powerful lawyer in New York and all that. Then Method Man saying like, why you letting this little child gas your head up? He didn't already tricked your ass into becoming his mama lawyer. Now you letting him gas your head up. For one, y'all, don't be gassing Tariq up like that, because Tariq is dumb as fuck. You see how he let 50 Cent treat him and do him, and how he has to get all his stuff cleaned up by his father and Tommy. And I'm like, okay, y'all, I want to see where this goes and whatnot. Oh, in the last couple scenes, it was just no audio. The music was playing, and we see that Tariq indeed gets accepted to that class, so he gonna have a full fucking college workload. And he in the library when he looking at it, and then he about to write that paper, Moby Dick, for Zeke. And I'm like, why you gonna write the name saying Zeke on it? Why you in the library? You could have just left the name off. But I mean, that's just a show, just for us as the viewer. And he goes and he looks up that family, Mary J. Blige family, her husband and whatnot, and he look and he see how Mary J. Blige is connected and all that. Oh, one scene I forgot to say. Speaking of Mary J. Blige and whatnot, her organized crime dad's family. There was a scene where we see her son go, the one that was getting into it with homeboy about that girl. He coming down the stairs in the hallway, and then homeboy's coming up the stairs, and he's straight pa pa pa, blow boy homeboy brains out and guts and shoot his chest all up and blow his motherfucking brains out and whatnot. I'm like, all over. I know it couldn't have been over a bitch. Maybe it was just because he came to his house and disrespected him, and that's just how he rolled. And then he just walk off, and then he go get in the car. Who his getaway driving is Mary J. Blige. I'm like, oh, and then she patting blood off his neck. I'm like, really? That's how you raised your child to be? You driving them on little play dates to go murder dates and shit to go kill people? Like, really? That's the kind of character she is? I'm like, oh, so Tariq, you dealing with a real dangerous ass family or whatnot. So, and it shows that, and then it shows Sax opening up the case against Tasha, St. Patrick, Green, and everything. And he even know that shit ain't right and it ain't sitting well, but they pushing for it. What's his name? Tanaka or something? The Asian dude. I can't remember his name. I'll look it up after this, but I wasn't about to do that at this moment. But yeah, y'all, so that's how the setup is for it. And again, I just hope that it don't get too all over the place, and let us, like, I appreciate seeing a little bit more into Sax's life, because, you know, now he's like a main character now, I guess, and because they're gonna be having to deal with him. We gonna deal with Tariq college life, and I was like, this better not be like no hood grownish and shit. Like, that's what it was giving me for a second, but it's gonna be way more darker because people get murdered and shit, and there's sex and shit going on. Well, sex in any college thing going on. But yeah, y'all, that was it. That was Power, the first episode. Sorry it was late. You know, it's been a long weekend. You know, it's a lot going on, and I still got a whole nother review to do after this. But make sure y'all stay tuned, because I will be reviewing it and telling y'all my thoughts. Y'all have a good one. Love you, love you, love you. Peace. Bye.